Hi, everyone. I'm John C. Morley, the host of the J. Moore Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the J. Moore Tech Talk Show. It is so great to be with you. Today, it is July 24, 2026. It's a Friday, and it's time for, yes, another J. Moore Tech Talk Show. If this is the very first time you're joining me, I want to take the opportunity to say thank you and welcome. If you've been here one time, five times, 10, 100, or more, or even lost track of the count, I'd like to say welcome and thank you. But I also like to say the words welcome back. I really do appreciate people that enjoy the quality and content of the show that I produce here. And yes, it's great to be with everyone here. And I want to tell you that this has been an interesting week that I want to square away with you. First, if you are thirsty or hungry, feel free to get yourself something. I have an RO water here with some homemade, kind of like a little bit like I'd say some lemon, fresh lemon, and I've got some other fruits in here, and it's kind of delicious. Has some ice in it. Use my Vitamix. Really cool. All right, guys, feel free to go get yourself something and come on back. If you have not heard about BelievMeAchieve.com, go check that out after the show is over. There's so much information that I think you guys can be aware of. So, I think hopefully you guys will appreciate that we have this, and there's a lot of great stuff. I don't know what your week's been like, but technology's moving. And that's the key, guys, to be aware of what's happening and why things are happening. And maybe you don't quite understand like what's going on with technology. It's morphing, all right? Definitely is morphing. So, without any further ado, guys, let's go ahead and kick this show on off. All right. This is the J Moore Tech Talk Show. The biggest tech changes you can't ignore. Yep, Series 5, Show 31. That is really delicious with lemon. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the ever popular J Moore Tech Talk Show. Who am I? I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, keynote speaker, graduate student at Montclair State University, passionate lifelong learner, and now so grateful to be a published author. You know, friends, technology isn't slowing down. No. Every week, breakthroughs, lawsuits, cyber attacks, and innovations reshape how we live, work, and even play. The biggest challenge today isn't simply keeping up with technology. No. It's understanding what these changes mean before they affect your business and your family's life, and of course, your future. Today, I'm breaking down 14 technology stories that highlight where innovation is headed and why every one of you should be paying attention. Really delicious, guys. Something about putting lemon in a drink, it really satisfies you. Number one, guys, Apple and the DOJ, Department of Justice, may be ready to make a deal. Apple may avoid one of the largest technology trials in recent history through a settlement with the DOJ. At the heart of the case is whether Apple unfairly limited competition involving apps, smartwatches, and digital wallets. Whatever happens could influence millions of iPhone users and redefine how one of the world's largest technology ecosystems becomes. It's another reminder that innovation and competition often evolve together. They morph, if you will. And I think that's something that a lot of people are like, huh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So ponder that for a moment. All right. If a deal is reached, it could reshape how the iPhone basically operates here for millions of users. Should Apple be forced to open its platform to more competition? That's the saga. There's pros and cons with everything. I think there's more pros if Apple decides to open that up. Plus, they avoid a lawsuit, right? I think these are important things that many people like. They just don't realize, they don't understand like what they mean. And I think a lot of people complain about things, and the reason they complain is because they don't understand how something directly or indirectly affects them. When we talk about technology, right? Some people may use technology, some people may not. Now, of course, people are going to say they don't, but even if they don't directly use technology, indirectly they do. Their car and other processes that they're part of in life. And technology is something everyone's going to be faced with. I know some people that don't like technology at all. They can't stand computers. Something goes wrong and they're like, oh, I just hate the computer. I want to throw it out. It's not perfect. People aren't perfect. So we got to have a little bit of patience, right? We got to understand that technology will morph, but we also got to understand, like, where is this going and why is this going a certain way? I mean, I think that's a huge thing. All right. And when I say where is technology going, we have to always be focused on the greater good of all concerned. I know so many people out there that want to make money with AI. Okay. But we got to think for a moment. That's something I think that a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand. And people question it. And I can say to you that choices in life affect outcomes, right? So we have to be under the mindset to develop technology for, ladies and gentlemen, the greater good of all concerned, right? Innovation and technology is not good. It's not bad. It's how we choose to use it to make it so. I've said that many, many times. I know lots of people that go try to get a certification on AI for like 20 minutes or a couple hours, and suddenly they think they're a hero in AI, but they don't understand anything about it. They just know enough to make some money and get people to pay them when they themselves are more of a danger in AI. Okay. Those are important things. That's a very important thing for us to ponder. Number two, your CEO could be the hacker. What? What are you talking about, John? I'm serious. So, cyber criminals have discovered that people are often easier to fool than computers. What are you talking about, John? Instead of attacking firewalls, they're impersonating executives through email, Microsoft Teams, WhatsApp, and other trusted communication platforms that companies use. One convincing message asking for an urgent payment can create enormous financial losses. The most important cybersecurity tool isn't software. It's taking a breath, it's taking a moment to verify before you act. I think a lot of times when we're in that panic, and we don't know exactly what to do. We don't know what to say. But I'm here to let you know that it definitely is important to take the time and verify. Take the time and definitely verify. Verify, verify, verify. I say that to you because although you might think you're doing something great, you might be harming people. You might be hurting a company. You might be giving money away to a bad actor. And which is why I say your CEO executive is not your boss. You think they're your boss, but they're impersonating your real boss. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but that's what people are doing right now. They're sticking to that philosophy. They're sticking to that philosophy. The philosophy that, I can impersonate the head person. And by doing that, I don't have to get through any firewalls or any complicated mumbo jumbo or even some advanced social engineering. I just have to come off as genuine and I have to be able to fool the person on the other end of the phone. So imagine getting an urgent message from your CEO telling you to wire money. What would you do? Just think for a moment. Regulators are warning about a growing boss, quote unquote, scam in which cyber criminals impersonate CEOs and senior executives, C-level executives, by email, as I said, WhatsApp, Microsoft Teams, and other platforms, to manipulate or trick employees into sending money or installing malware. In some cases, attackers even hijack trusted accounts to make the requests appear legitimate. The biggest cybersecurity threat today isn't always a sophisticated hack. Sometimes it's a simple message that looks completely real. If your boss asks for an urgent payment, it's important that you verify it first. You've all heard the saga where, the grandmother or grandfather gets a call that, their grandson or granddaughter has been a severe accident and they're unconscious right now and they need surgery. And if they don't have the surgery in the next 20, 30 minutes, they could die. Unfortunately, because of new procedures, we have to get the full amount of money up front. We have to get the deposit up front or whatever it is. And people aren't necessarily rationalizing. They're saying, okay, let's just do it. Because, see, the emotion catches people off guard. That's the kicker, guys. That is the kicker. Pretty big kicker, isn't it? So we have to remember when we're making a decision, okay, especially when it's with money, to not be emotional, to just look at the facts. When you go to court, hopefully you never do, but if you ever go to court, the important thing is that you stay logical, not emotional. That's an important piece, guys. Stay logical, not emotional. Number 3, 3 employees, 1 mistake. John, what are you talking about? 3 employees, 1 mistake. Allow me to share. Thousands could be affected. The Clover Health incident demonstrates how quickly social engineering can bypass even the most sophisticated security systems. No advanced malware was required. Attackers simply convinced employees to provide access. This reinforces an important lesson. Cybersecurity isn't only about technology. It's about awareness, training, and recognizing that every employee plays a role in protecting sensitive information. So the question you might be asking is, and it's a good question, how did the Cloverleaf cyber attack happen? Social engineering. On July 4th, 2026, they gathered some login activity, and it was flagged on the company information systems. Social engineering, such as manipulated phone calls or credential trick targeted staff rather than a software exploit or technical code flow. 3, non-managerial health plan employee accounts responsible for broker-facing sales and member visit scheduling. Access included certain personality identifiable information. So PII, personally identifiable information, and PHI, personal health information. We sometimes call PII PI, personal information, but it's personal identifiable information. So Clover Health activated incident response protocols upon spotting the unusual activity, brought in third-party cybersecurity specialists to investigate and evict the intruder, reported the event to law enforcement while continuing the ongoing data impact evaluation. So the question might saying is, so how did they do the social engineering? They did their homework. The threat actor successfully executed a social engineering attack by tricking 3 employees into disclosing their login credentials, which allowed the hacker to hijack their email accounts. Because Clover Health's investigation is still active and ongoing following their SEC Form 8-K filing, the exact technical delivery mechanism has not been formally released. However, security experts reviewing the breach point to a few highly probable vectors where this could have happened. Credential phishing, the most common form of social engineering. Employees likely received deceptive emails or text messages that mimicked official company communications or IT platforms, directing them to fake login portals where they typed in their password. Help desk voice baiting phishing. Attackers often call frontline employees pretending to be IT support or internal administrator, manipulating the staff members into reading aloud their passwords or multi-factor authentication codes. I think that's probably more of how it happened. Targeting selection. The attackers did not strike at random. They specifically focused on non-managerial staff in member visit scheduling and broker-facing sales roles. Frontline employees in these positions are heavily reliant on external communications, making them more vulnerable to manipulative external messages. Cybersecurity experts commented on Clover Health's reports to the SEC, warning that the modern healthcare social engineering has grown increasingly sophisticated. Threat actors now routinely deploy AI-driven personalization to draft highly authentic phishing emails and utilize voice cloning deepfakes to bypass traditional human verification over the phone. A lot of red flags here. Employees are taught to look out for things during phone calls or emails, but somehow in this situation, it all went south. Number 4, the robo-taxi drove into the fire. Self-driving vehicles continue making impressive progress, but real-world emergencies remain one of the greatest challenges. A robo-taxi reportedly failed to recognize a fire scene and entered an active emergency area. Pretty bad. Technology platforms, well, under predictable conditions, but unexpected situations, they need to continue testing the limits of AI. You see, innovation must always be measured against safety. And for it to not be able to understand smoke, I mean, that system's crazy, right? I think that's a very important thing, and I think it's really important that that's happening, but people have to be aware of it. If we can become aware of something, then we can move forward with what we want to do. But if we're not aware, then how do we do something? I mean, I think with the cars, I think we have to test the scenarios of what live emergency scenes look like. I would have thought that they would have done that, but I guess they haven't. So I would say maybe there needs to be a new specification like emergency certification or emergency scene detection. And until they pass that, they can't get into the field where they can be sold. I just can't believe somebody would roll out something that would not know how to detect a fire or an emergency scene. And it wasn't the first time, guys. It was not the first time. And it's going to happen again until we actually fix the problem. People are so concerned about making money, but they don't seem to be concerned about one thing: doing things for the greater good of all concerned. That's a problem. Doing things for the greater good of all concerned. I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to realize. But when things come to fruition about doing things for a profit, but when they cause harm to people, maybe not directly, maybe indirectly, people have to become accountable. And it shouldn't just come down to things like it becomes a legal case. People should do the right thing, not because somebody tells them to. They should want to do the right thing. I mean, that's just my take on the situation. So AI technology, it's not safe when there's ambulances and fire and smoke. It gets confused. Do we get confused when there's a fire? No way. No. We do not get confused. We know the difference. We know the difference. I think that's important to understand. Very, very important to understand. Number 5. Is technology taking the magic out of sports? The FIFA Cup just ended. If you're wondering who won the FIFA Cup, well, the FIFA Cup ended the battles basically at the top of the playoffs and standings, where basically Spain and Argentina was the final. The third place playoff was France and England. The semifinals was England and Argentina. The semifinals was France and Spain. The quarter was Argentina and Switzerland, and the quarterfinals was Norway and England. But the final was Spain and Argentina. And Spain won. The question is, artificial intelligence is helping officials make more accurate decisions than ever before. Instant replays, automated offside detection, and AI-powered match analysis continue improving fairness. Yet many fans in the stands or at home are wondering whether eliminating human error is also removing the unforgettable moments that make sports so fun and exciting. Technology can improve accuracy, yes, but preserving the spirit of competition remains equally important. So I think we have to realize the main reason why we actually come to a game. And we come to a game because we want to have fun. We want the experience. We want that experience. That's the experience that we want. We're not coming there just because people say, they want to have the most efficient game. We come there for an experience. We come there because we want to make a difference in our lives. I think that's an important piece, guys. We want to know what that means. We want to know why that means that. And I can tell you that it's about more than what you think. It's about the fact that we can change our lives by technology, But we have to make sure we don't lose the human element. I've said this many, many times. A battery, nickel-cadmium battery actually, exploded without warning. Lithium batteries power smartphones, laptops, power tools, e-bikes, and countless other devices are powered by them. However, damaged or improperly discarded batteries can ignite without any kind of warning. Many people don't realize the danger sitting inside a junk drawer or garage. Proper recycling and storage aren't just environmental responsibilities, guys. They're important safety practices, which is why we have places like many of the stores around, they do free, basically they do free disposal of your battery. I think that's an important thing to understand that. And if you understand that, then you'll realize why certain things are being done a certain way. You know, when you throw something in a trash bin and suddenly there's a fire because of your lack of responsibility or accountability, I say that's sad. Did you know, ladies and gentlemen, number 7, your doctor might stop taking notes? That's right. Artificial intelligence is changing healthcare by automatically documenting patient visits. Instead of typing during appointments, physicians can focus their attention on patients while AI creates medical notes in the background. Used responsibly, technology can improve efficiency without replacing the human connection that defines quality healthcare. My only question is, how do we know these systems are 100% safe and secure? How do we know that your data is not going to wind up on page 1 of some newspaper? I think those are the questions that everybody's asking, not just one person. And if we understand these questions and we understand, hopefully, the answers, we're going to know something. Okay? We're going to know something. We're going to know that a lot of people are trying to get AI in healthcare. Okay? Some parts of it are good. So people will ask me, is AI, in healthcare, safe to take patient notes? What do you think I would say? Well, I'd say it's a work in progress. They have HIPAA compliant AI to summarize, but is it really good? They say it's generally considered safe, and it follows strict privacy and security laws, including the HIPAA. It's designed to improve the efficiency of documentation while allowing clinicians to focus more on patient care. Is it 100% safe? No. It is important for all healthcare providers to review AI-generated notes to ensure accuracy and completeness. It could give you a totally different set of notes than what you talked about. So that's why it needs to be reviewed. I think that causes problems for a lot of people. But I have an issue with not just the truth, also the fact of where's this data sitting? What server? Who could potentially have access to this data? Number 8, can OpenAI be trusted? Similar question, but it's a different reason for this. Wearable AI devices promise to become personal assistants that remain with us throughout the day. They could help organize schedules, answer questions, and simplify daily tasks for us. Yet these devices also introduce questions about privacy, trust, and of course, data collection. Technology succeeds only when people feel confident using it responsibly. Yeah. I think that's one that, again, so many people don't bother to understand that we have to use technology reliably. If we don't, then not just us, but other people are going to pay that price. Okay? Other people are going to pay that price. Number 9, guys, you could be owed money from Disney. That's right. Major legal settlements sometimes affect millions of consumers without them realizing it. Disney's streaming settlement reminds us that companies remain accountable for their business practices. Staying informed about consumer rights can sometimes benefit your wallet just as much as understanding new technology. So everybody's been asking me, and it's a great question. Where do I file my claim for the Disney lawsuit? A lot of people been asking me that. So you can file your claim for the 50 million Disney antitrust class action um, bill versus Disney online or by mail. You have to do it by September 8th, 2026. So basically, the easiest thing to do is you can basically go to online, okay, ONLINE, TV settlement, settlement.com. That's online, TV, settlement.com. And you'll click on the start your claim button. Once you click on start your claim, you'll be prompted with some information you need to put in, your ID, your PIN. So there's some things you need to do. But ladies and gentlemen, you only have, okay, a certain period to do this. If you don't do this in time, well, then you're not going to be able to file. So I think that's an important thing for us to understand. So eligible dates to subscribers, it was April 1st, 2019 to March 31st, 2026. And the deadline for filing the claim for this lawsuit, class action, is September 8th, 2026. And the final approval hearing will be next year, January 14th, 2027. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, did AI decide who lost their job? Artificial intelligence is increasingly assisting organizations with hiring, evaluations, and workforce decisions. That creates important discussions about, well, fairness, transparency, and accountability. You see, technology should support better decisions, but human oversight remains essential whenever people's careers and livelihoods are involved. And there are companies out there, I'm not going to mention the names, but you know one of the companies, a three-letter company, starts with A, and they are just not doing the right thing, right? They're not doing the right thing. And I think that's an important thing for everybody to understand, that we have to do the right thing all the time. If we don't do the right thing, then that's a huge, huge problem for everybody, right? It may not hurt us today, but it definitely could hurt us later on. Okay. And I'll tell you, a lot of people think it doesn't matter. And I can tell you that it does matter. Because even though you may not see it firsthand, it can indirectly affect you. Indirectly, right? So using technology smartly, reliably, and accountably is no small feat. These big companies, again, I'm not going to name them, class action lawsuits for AI hiring systems, right? I think that's a huge, huge thing. Now, currently, there are no active class action lawsuits against certain companies. You might think that it should be, and I agree. A judge several times rejected this, saying there wasn't enough evidence. So the thing about AI is that it's very gray area. So it makes it hard for the courts to decide because there are really no rules for the courts right now in the AI domain. We're like 10 years ahead of that. Will the court eventually come up with rules? Sure, they will. Will they be here tomorrow? No, they won't. No, they won't. I think that's an important thing for us to understand. We're in a transition phase, guys, where the courts, the attorneys, they're learning what things mean. And there hasn't been new laws for AI. So the question is, when will the US courts have new AI laws? When will that happen? So the US courts do not pass statutory laws, legislators do, but individual court systems are adopting new rules for AI, supposedly right now, with New York and Florida implementing major mandates recently. Comprehensive states and federal AI statutes are developing independently through state legislators, administrative agencies, and local judicial standing orders. But nothing's uniform, right? Attorney filings, courts across the country are enacting rules requiring lawyers to verify that AI-generated text or cited cases are real to prevent hallucinated legal citations. The New York State Unified Court System adopted Rule Part 161 on June 1st, 2026, making lawyers responsible for checking AI work. The Florida Supreme Court enacted rules on June 15, 2026, allowing judges to punish lawyers for fake AI citations. Federal pilot programs, individual federal judges use their own standing orders, ranging from mandatory AI disclosure to outright bans on generative AI in drafting, while the federal judiciary studies broader administrative use. States are moving much faster than the federal government. Federal actions, federal agencies like the FTC are rolling out enforcement frameworks under existing consumer protection laws rather than waiting for new congressional statutes. But these laws are not great, okay? There's no uniformity with anything. I think that's the biggest problem I see, is that everybody is like going different directions. So how do you have a standard when we're all trying to go different directions? That seems like a nightmare, guys. We are ahead of where the courts are. I think it's going to take time for the courts to catch up. I'm just being honest. I think that's an important thing for us to acknowledge, for us to understand, and for us to be accountable for if we're using those things. Number 11, guys. The United States just sanctioned a VPN. Many people assume every VPN improves online privacy. Wrong. That's not true. Authorities recently sanctioned a VPN service accused of helping ransomware groups hide their activities. The lesson isn't to avoid VPNs. It's to research who operates the service before trusting them with your internet traffic. Sounds very straightforward, but for some reason, guys, it's not. It's not. Think about that for a moment. VPNs are supposed to protect your privacy, right? And the US sanctioning a VPN service because it was helping ransomware gangs, that's just mind-blowing. Again, VPNs and technology are not good, they're not bad. It's how we use them. It's also how the people orchestrate, and also now a new rule, who's behind it, who's running it, right? I think these are questions that many people struggle with or they wrestle with because they can. Number 12. What if we were able to turn night into day? Well, a proposed satellite that they're working on And this is interesting, guys, because this proposed satellite that they're supposedly working toward, right, is going to change the way we do things. It could reflect sunlight back to Earth after sunset, opening new possibilities for nighttime solar power. At the same time, astronomers and environmental experts are worried about increased light pollution and unintended consequences. Hmm. Innovation often requires balancing exciting possibilities with responsible stewardship. So I'm going to say what I said before, it's about accountability. Okay. It's about doing the right thing. And just because we can do something doesn't mean we should. We've got to do things for the greater good of all concerned. I think that gets lost in the trail many times. Innovation comes, but again, are we really doing the innovation for profit, or are we doing it to make the world a better place? Right? I think that's the important piece. And if we were able to think about that for just a moment, how would that evolve for you? How would that evolve for you? How would that matter for you? Right? I think sometimes everything looks great on one side, but then we don't look at it on the other side. Not because we can't, just for the reason we don't. Ladies and gentlemen, number 13, millions were forced to break up with their AI. That's right. AI companions are becoming increasingly realistic, creating emotional connections with users around the world, like relationships. Governments are now debating where to draw the line, especially when minors are involved. The conversation is no longer about whether people can develop relationships with AI. Nope. It's about how society chooses to manage those relationships responsibly. Hmm. Makes me think. China is now cracking down on AI companions, banning them from minors and restricting chatbots from encouraging emotional dependence. Millions of users are losing virtual relationships overnight as governments grapple with AI's growing role in people's lives. The question is, how do we proceed with this concept? Does the world have the right to do this or no? Can they do these kinds of things, or is this something that's really like out there? China doing this and forcing basically minors to not be able to create relationships with AI for emotional dependence. I get why they're doing this, but this shouldn't be something that AI companies regulate. This should be something that people can regulate. This is a issue that should be maintained within families. This isn't something you do because suddenly you say, okay, let's go from there, right? I think that becomes a problem for a lot of people. They don't understand, they don't realize. And this is why this causes this great, great, big problem. A problem that so many people out there don't seem to understand. They don't understand it. They don't understand what's going on. And that's a huge, huge problem. Right? A huge problem. Thinking about just this for a moment, how this works, how can we go forward? How can we expect a company to be responsible for this? That's a family thing. Number 14, guys. I think this is hard for a lot of people to understand. Is Google AI safe for kids? As artificial intelligence becomes part of everyday life, protecting children remains one of the industry's greatest responsibilities. Reports questioning AI responses involving sensitive topics highlight the importance of rigorous safety testing, continuous improvement, and responsible deployment. Trust is earned through transparency and consistent performance. As I get ready to close out today's show, I think this has definitely been one for the books. It's been a very, how can I say, a very interesting show, right? A very, very interesting show. I can definitely say that. Technology, ladies and gentlemen, never stands still, and neither should we. Every breakthrough creates new opportunities while introducing new responsibilities, whether we're discussing artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, healthcare, privacy, consumer rights, or space technology. One thing remains constant. You see, the people who succeed will be those who stay informed. I think critically asking thoughtful questions and continue to learn is really the key. But so many people out there saying, hey, this isn't my responsibility. This is not my job. It's not my problem. I get why you would say that. But isn't our jobs to all be accountable in our world, right? It's not just one person's job. Can we constantly put the onus back on AI and say it's AI's fault to manage and police people? I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. The problem I have is where are people's accountability? Where are people's priorities? Right? Where? Are they lost somewhere? I was talking to somebody before and I said, they don't seem to hand out common sense that much anymore. People are too in a rush to get from point A to point Z that they forget about the in between. I think those are important things for us to think about, for us to digest. But if we don't understand this stuff, how do we share what's going on in our lives? How do we make things different? Like, how? We can, but it starts with us becoming aware of the situation. That's right. I said aware of the situation. That awareness, guys, is the key. It is the key. Every single time, you should know it is the key. The key to helping us expand, the key to helping us understand, the key to helping us become more responsible citizens in the world. Can we blame technology about everything? Sure, we can. But at the end of the day, humans are the ones responsible for building technology. If technology is not working the way it should, we need to go back to the programmers. We need to go back to the engineers. The computer didn't get built by itself. No. It got built because people are taking ideas and they're changing those things, right? I think that's a very, important thing, right? Just think about that for a moment. Think about the fact that somebody's idea had to make that robot, had to make that software, had to make that device possible. Didn't happen through osmosis, guys. It happened with thought. And thought creates reality. Thought creates reality. Thought creates reality. If thought creates reality, then we indeed need to be responsible for the reality for which we're putting forth. If I asked all of you right now, what's your fear of AI? People would say to me, well, John, I don't know. I don't understand it. Does that mean you should fear it? No. I fear AI because it's not being fair. The biggest challenge with that is the people that are developing on a large scale and putting in models like Claude and Open AI and others, they have a very bad work ethic. I have to say this. They're just about the money. We see it. They limit people after certain times. Sometimes the system won't work, saying you went over your quota when you didn't. And you try to get support and you get some chatbot that has no clue. And we don't respond, they close the ticket. You call that customer service? I call that a first class joke. I call that a joke. I mean, imagine if every experience was like that. Just imagine that for just a moment, right? That could be a problem. It could definitely be a problem. And it could change people's perspectives. Change people's perspectives. And hopefully, people are going to understand that AI is not hardware alone. AI is not software alone. It's the building of ecosystems and infrastructures. Hopefully, for the greater good of all concerned. That's what it's supposed to be about. But I see so many people doing it because they want to make money. That's a problem, guys. A very, very big problem. What do you think about that? I think we need to be accountable. I think people using AI need to be accountable. And I think we have to make sure that we keep humans in the loop at all times, not just sometimes. I mean, all the time. All the time. I think the reason why people aren't in the loop is because it's affecting the productivity. And when the productivity slows, you know what happens? People don't make the money as fast. But wouldn't you rather build a better, safer, reliable birdhouse and crank out a million birdhouses that are going to fall apart or that we're going to potentially harm the bird? I mean, this is just how I'm thinking. And this makes me go back to a story of my grandfather in Morley. He was helping when I was a Cub Scout. My mom brought him in, and we were building birdhouses, and it was amazing. He helped us do all the pieces to build the birdhouse, and then we put these plexiglasses in, and we perfectly did plexiglass so people wouldn't get hurt. We were very concerned about the bird and how it worked and how easy it was to use. I think those are the things that matter, right? They matter the most. And if they matter the most, more companies today need to be thinking about the right way to do things, not just a way that's going to bring money in. Money's good, but we want to do it for the greater good of all concerned. The greater good, ladies and gentlemen, of all concerned. That's an interesting pivot, guys. A very interesting pivot. I want to thank everyone today for joining me for another fantastic, amazing episode of the Jay Moore Tech Talk Show. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, I don't know if you know this, we're Series 5, we're Show 31. We are almost halfway through the year, and we'll be on the air 5 years. December 31st, after December 31st, marks us being on the air 5 years every Friday. Pretty cool, right? What I want to share with you, I think, is really important. And a lot of people don't understand this. We have to make the choices that are going to make sense for our life and that are going to help others. That is to make the world better, the greater good for all concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, keynote speaker, graduate student at Montclair State University, lifelong learner, very passionately, and grateful now to be a published author. Until next time, I encourage you all to stay informed, stay curious, stay secure, and remember that understanding technology today is one of the best investments you can make for tomorrow. If you're doing it just for the purposes of making money, probably going to get bored by it. You're probably going to leave it because other people are going to sense that and say, you know what? Of course, that's not going to make sense. It's not going to make sense. We do things to help others, but sometimes money gets in the way, clouds our judgment, and then the purpose that we got involved with, like building the birdhouse. My grandfather loved animals. We had to make sure we stayed on track. Could we have built a cheaper birdhouse? Yeah, but it might have not lasted. We could have built a cheaper birdhouse, but it also might have hurt the bird. We had to make sure that everything was safe for the bird. Everything was sanded properly. Okay? These are the kinds of things that I feel most people don't understand. When we do something to truly serve, I know a lot of people that say, to be successful, you be a servant leader. I know a lot of people that give lip service on that. And it sounds so woo-woo-y, so great. But when I pick it apart, I'm like, wait a minute. They really don't care about who you are. They care about getting their agenda off. If I say a little bit differently, they care about manipulating you. That's sad, guys, but it exists. It's existed before, even before I was born. It exists today. We have to do things for the greater good of all concerned. And when we do this, that's when we can make a difference in our lives and others. We can't fake that, guys. Thinking about how we made that birdhouse, which was a few more dollars, but my grandfather wanted to make sure that every bird that visited that birdhouse was safe, that they would enjoy their bird seed. He also made it very easy that anybody could put the bird seed in very easily from the top, just opening up the thing and opening it, putting it in, closing it, and having the glass so that you could actually set the glass for different levels depending on the type of birds, actually the plexiglass, so they didn't eat too much, right? Important thing. Alicia Ellen, please check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. I'll catch you real soon. Be well, everyone. Have a good one. Great weekend. I'll see you next weekend.